Dean Burnett, President Nellis, members of the Board of Regents, Chief Justice Burdick, members of the faculty, our families, and less successful siblings. I'm excited to be able to speak today. I thought I was speaking because I was the valedictorian, but apparently Brandon is graduating magna cum laude, where I'm just graduating thank the Lottie. Graduation's a time of reflection, and as I've thought about the last 3 years and full head of hair that I've lost, I've pondered some important things. I ponder whether or not I'll be a grandparent by the time I pay off my student loans. I wonder whether or not my skin tone will ever return to a normal, healthy-looking tone or color. But the most important question that I ask is what happened to me? At what point in my legal education did I become so obnoxious? When I talk to my family, how boring am I on the phone? I remember when I used to go to parties as an undergrad, I think that I used to be able to make people laugh. I could talk to anyone about anything, and it's not that I'm not interested in non-law students anymore. It's just that when I hear a story or a concern, I want to know very specifically what category it fits into. And I know many of my classmates think the same way now. As we're getting our class photo, the photographer jumped up on a chair and I heard someone warn him about a possible tort. I had a friend the other day that told me that she hated her job, and I asked her, now does this mean that you have an unsafe working condition? Are you being sexually harassed? Do you have any emails that can substantiate that claim? Would any of your coworkers, have they seen that? But in all reality and in all seriousness, the degrees that we're obtaining today offer us an opportunity to do some real good in the world, as long as we're focused on doing that good. And so I know that we've come to, like our professor said, as first-year students, view the world differently and think differently and analyze problems differently. We have a real opportunity to make the law and other things very accessible to people that haven't had the opportunity to have the same kind of education that we've received. And I have faith and confidence that we as a class of 2012 will be able to go forth and do those things, because I've gotten to know my classmates, and they're among the best group of people that I've known. I came to Moscow. I had to move away from the most beautiful city in the world, Pocatello, and I was nervous. I didn't have any friends up here. I didn't, I didn't go here to college, but I'm really grateful for my classmates and the friendships that I've made. And so I appreciate you for acting at times like my family, for inviting me over to dinner, and studying with me and working with me, and being able to learn from you in class and in other settings. And so with that, on behalf of the class of 2012, I'd just like to thank everyone else that helped us through our legal educations, especially our families and friends that were a constant support. I'd like to wish my mom a happy Mother's Day tomorrow. And sorry, I probably won't have a time to pick up a card after graduation. We got some parties to go to, but I figure saying Happy Mother's Day in front of a couple hundred people is good enough. But I really would like to thank my parents in particular. They never had the opportunity to go on and receive an education past high school. And so I know how much you sacrificed for me to allow me to receive an education. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for my sisters, and my sister that allowed me to live at her house 2 summers as I went and worked legal jobs in Boise. And so I know that my stories aren't unique, in that everyone had support from their loved ones, spouses, family, and friends. And so on behalf of our class, thank you for that. And so for our class, I wish you all the best of luck. I know that we will go and do amazing things and solve a lot of people's problems and make people's lives a little bit easier and a little bit better at some of the most difficult times that they're facing. And so God bless you, and good luck in the future. I know that we'll all do great. One attorney, this is my transition, I was trying to think how to transition. One attorney who did those great things is Chief Justice Burdick, who is an alumnus of the College of Law. He graduated in 1974. He then went on to private practice. He served as a deputy prosecuting attorney in Ada County before he went and started a law firm, Hart and Burdick, in Jerome, Idaho. While he was working at Hart and Burdick, he worked as a public defender all throughout the Magic Valley. He was then elected prosecuting attorney for Jerome County in 1981, and a year later he became a judge in Jerome County. Following that, he became a district judge in Twin Falls County in 1993, and was eventually appointed by Governor Dirk Kempthorne as the 53rd Justice of the Idaho Supreme Court in August of 2003. He's subsequently been re-elected in 2004 and 2010, and has served as Vice Chief Justice of the Supreme Court from 2007 till 2011, when he became the Chief Justice in August of 2011. And he told me the most important thing to know about him is that he's 6'1" and 190 pounds. And so if you welcome Chief Justice Burdick.
He's going to be a tough act to follow. I would like to thank President Nellis and Dean Burnett for their kindness extended to Rachel and I at last night's commencement dinner, as well as for allowing me to address the latest link in the chain of Idaho law. I also want to extend a formal thank you on behalf of the Idaho State Supreme Court to the faculty of the law school for your foundational contribution to these students, but just as importantly, for your service to the Idaho State Bar and its members, as well as to the Idaho Supreme Court. Many of you serve on bar and court committees and thereby sustain the fabric of our profession, this noble profession that you are about ready to enter into. Another round of applause for this faculty, please. Well, congratulations to all who are gathered here today. It's a day of accomplishment, recognition of deeds well done, and a sharing in the celebration of those deeds. For parents, a day of reaffirmation of the kid who some days you thought would never make it through the day, let alone be here. Pride drips from these walls, and don't worry, mothers and some fathers, pride will drip out of your eyes at some point during this day. I guarantee it. Now, I would like to start with a poem. No, this is not a limerick about some people from Nantucket, nor is it Lincoln-esque, nor penned by Robert Frost. Instead, it's from a book by Pamela August Russell, Italics, A Beginner's Guide to Mediocrity, italics, comma. Italics B is for bad poetry, italics, comma, PG period, 5, comma, 2009 period. You see, that's an inside joke for you law review types. That citation was blue booked extensively before I came here. So here's my guide, A Beginner's Guide to Mediocrity. Bet you've never heard this at a commencement speech. Try not to dream, graduates. It's futile and you might as well wish for the end of gravity. Be part of the herd. No one likes an original voice, especially if that voice is louder than theirs. Learn to live with irony and regret. Everyone knows it's all we have left. Get used to your mortality. It will eventually consume you. So why not pick up an addiction? Don't bother getting out of bed. The world is crowded enough without you and your big ideas. So I've shared with you the secrets of mediocrity, but I know that that will be lost on this group. They are lost because at this moment and for your lifetime, you've never been mediocre. You've had to have remarkable drive, intellect, personality, and significant school loans to get you here today. So get used to being leaders in whatever sphere you find yourself, based upon these personal traits and the knowledge imparted to you by this remarkable university. I've employed law clerks literally from around the nation, and 3 of the 4 best have been from this University of Law. You are prepared in law and how to express it both orally and in written form, grounded in a common sense approach to solving clients' problems, and given more tools and more approaches to that end than any other law class before you. I want to share a quick story with you about how I did my first deposition. I'd been in practice about 3 weeks. A senior partner comes in, says, "Roger, I need you to go to Rupert and do a deposition in this case." And I said, "When?" He said, "Tomorrow." I said, "Okay." So I grabbed the file, I look at the complaint, I look at the defenses, I kind of look through the depositions. Thank God he told me to pick up a court reporter on the way. Her name was Linda Ledbetter. So Linda and I are driving from Twin Falls to Rupert, and we strike up a conversation, and finally I have the fortitude to ask her, "Well, Linda, do you do many of these depositions?" Because I had never seen a deposition. I didn't know how to do a deposition. I had never read a deposition. I had no idea. And luckily, this woman was kind enough. She was working on some depositions. She showed me what they were. I kind of looked through them as I drove down there. We talked about them. And that was my first deposition. You are better prepared than that, or you better be. Now, most importantly, you should know I can live and believe in different ways and things than you or your family or your friends, and I am not evil for those beliefs or actions. I'm just different. Today's balkanization of society is not a basis for sustained civilization. You of all persons must know there are 2 sides to every story, and rarely is there absolute evil or absolute right on either. Now, you will be looked to in whatever endeavor you pick for these traits and accomplishments today represents. So how do you continue to separate yourself? I'd like to look very quickly at the mirror image of the beginner's guide to mediocrity. Dream. You must dream, but stay grounded and reasonable. When sentencing individuals over approximately 10 years in district court, I could tell with almost certainty who was going to fail. It was those who articulated grandiose dreams. They were going to pay off all the bounced checks with a new job as a deep sea diver and run their own company and be married and have perfect children just like you. Nothing about the meth addiction that caused the bounce checks in thousands of dollars, nor how to get to the deep sea from Jerome, Idaho, let alone run a diving company on a 4th grade education. Remember, there was only one little piggy that lived, the one that put one brick on another brick, one at a time. Each day is a brick. You've got to complete one day well and the next one better, and then you have a solid base to fulfill reasonable goal after reasonable goal. How do you separate from the herd? From now on, it's competence and hard work on details that count. When I graduated from law school, I knew 2 things, certainly nothing about a deposition. 2 things. I'd never practiced criminal law, and from now on it was martinis on the golf course with my well-heeled clients. Well, I've been a public defender in 4 counties, a prosecutor in 2 others. I got fired from my first job and broke even at best running my own law practice. How had I done so far? Being fired was the best thing that happened to me. It put fire in my belly. I went to Ada County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and learned about detail and hard work and tried to apply it every day and still do. Don't live with regret or irony. They are a waste of your precious time. Am I advocating sociopathic treatment of those around you? No, heavens no. If you have put a good, solid series of bricks in the walls of your life, bricks built with high ethical and competent levels, you'll have little time or little to regret. No matter your preparation, things will occasionally hit the fan of life, and your life will be distributed unevenly. But that mess or that failure need not be a basis for regret. If you've done things ethically and with competence, failure is part of your future. I will guarantee it. It is how you got to the moment of failure and how you react to it that matters. Now, no one likes an original voice. As public defender in Jerome, I walked in the first day to the court and my first sentencing. I was told by the judge's secretary, "Go on into the judge, he has your judgment ready." Well, I inquired, what about a court record? What about my argument? Well, it's how we do things here. They never did it after that day. 6 years later, I ran for prosecutor because of my perception that law enforcement was corrupt. When I won, one of the first cases, if not the first case I filed, was against a police officer for aggravated battery. Unfortunately, my witness left shortly before trial, afraid for his physical health. 17 years later, I left Jerome with good friends crying and kudos from founding families and officials at all levels of Jerome County. Now, your mortality will eventually consume you. Well, that's not on your horizon, but I can guarantee you some of your parents have peeked over the edge here lately. And when folks think of their mortality, some start to think of their legacy, be it riches, the world's smartest judge, most, fill in any blank. I believe that to be the height of arrogance. And if you let this quest for perfect legacy consume you, your legacy will become corrupted as you commit errors and fabricate in order to frame that perfect legacy. Now, I've been to an increasing number of funerals for remarkable people. At these gatherings, there are no tears shed for riches or legacy. They are shed for friends and family and selfless contributions to others from top to bottom. Your only true legacy will be in the memories of those close to you. Finally, addiction, one of my favorite subjects. I had to wake up some folks in the crowd, I know. In 38 years, I've seen it stifle or end more careers than anything else. Since we were monkeys and walking on all fours, humans have tried to get high on rotten fruit or some other combination of stuff. We have now the wonders of science pumping this stuff out with ever-increasing sophistication. In my 11 years on the Judicial Council, in every case, the judge who lost their job, it was because of drugs or sex or greed. Be honest to yourselves and others about these issues. Listen to others when they talk to you in the future about these things. Be the best friend anyone could ask and approach persons who have a problem with these issues. If persons are willing to talk to you about your problem, I will guarantee you are in trouble or fast approaching that downbound train where all it does is rain. And I quote another famous philosopher, much as Dean Burnett has done, Bruce Springsteen. Lastly, get out of bed. The people who progress, who succeed, who excel, just work harder than those who don't. Because of my membership on the council and 10 years administrative district judge in the 5th District, I've had the honor and privilege to have interviewed and helped select 21 district judges, 1 Supreme Court justice, and 5 magistrate judges. As a result, I'm approached by new applicants as to how to become a judge, how to go through the process. My main message to them is nothing of consequence. Your credentials will be made every day, one at a time, throughout your career, and from there, it is serendipity. Politics, friendships, things that are out of your control. Oh, you can gussy up a resume and do some small things, but for the most part, the selection process will be out of your control during the brief period from application to final decision. Again, get out of bed, make every day better than the last. Even if you're intellectually gifted and have charisma exuding from every pore, without hard work and detail, you're going to get passed up in this profession. Your parents have seen this mirror image of the beginner's guide to mediocrity throughout your life. And I believe that mirror image will sustain you in the future. And that mirror image has served your faculty and administration well, and hopefully you will reflect it in the future. One final note, and I get kind of teary-eyed about this. 38 years ago, I was a member of the first graduating class from the new Dean Menard Law Building, and I remember this day, well, somewhat. Some of it. And for whatever you do, don't forget my immortal words to Dean Menard on that day. I whispered it in his ear as he handed me the diploma. Dean, this is the last chance you have to change my D in public law. Well, being a man of intellect and great integrity, he didn't. I wish you all well, the class of 2012, and may you turn out to be like Merlin Clark. Thank you.
When American Bar Association President Bill Robinson visited us last fall, he said to me after meeting Chief Justice Burdick, "What a treasure. What an unusual Chief Justice with an acute mind, but also the common touch and a great and humble sense of humor." I think now you can see what President Robinson meant. Chief, thank you for your thoughtful message, and please accept this very modest token of our appreciation, and well within the guidelines on contributions set by the Judicial Council.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.